Mark, one of the things I was wondering about, I will come to, in fact, in a moment with you, because we have some questions from the audience and I'm going to give those priority. There's a question for you, Matt, from the audience, from Birgitta Curtin, and she wants to know, what can the supermarkets do to address food waste, this issue that we saw, the 1 in 3 calories?
I don't know what the supermarkets will do, but I know what we're doing because I lead the project in Tesco. It's a cross-functional initiative, and it's, for me, very exciting because it's one of our core. We have 3 social purpose projects, and reducing food waste is one of them. The other the other 2 are tackling obesity and improving health, and creating opportunities for young people. But within the Reducing Food Waste project, we have engaged not only the CSR initiative, but all of the commercial and operators within the business have come together to understand the waste in the chains. I think the figures were quoted earlier on today, but more importantly, to see what we can do about it. So I think in our business, we are very energetic and have been for many years about the waste in our own operations. And we're creating a blueprint that we're then rolling out through the operations in our international business. And where we do have waste, we're building a business around food banks so that we can, do something good with the food that's wasted. It either goes to animal feed or anaerobic digestion or to food banks. But actually, I'm more excited about the big numbers that we can influence down through the supply chains and with our customers.
And is it just an internal operation within the company, or is it also an education thing for your suppliers and for your customers to understand what you're doing here?
Yeah, it's across many stakeholders. We've engaged a lot of external advocates, some of whom are very challenging of us and our behaviours. And some of our good suppliers as well, and our producers. So through our producer network, which is an online communication social network with our about 1,200 producers around the world, we asked them what we could do to help reduce their wastage. We also engaged our processors and manufacturers, and they said things like your forecasting is no good. And most people who deal with us in the audience will know that, but actually it kind of has real resonance for us now. So we've looked at each individual product chain, and through the sourcing hubs that we now have around the world, we've looked at the wastage on farm. With our processors, we've looked at the wastage in manufacturing, and also the wastage in store and then in consumers' houses by working with WRAP. And we're working with many different stakeholders to improve on that.
Okay, Jason, there's a question for you. If we try to improve the least efficient producers with compulsory standards, how do we ensure innovation and startups aren't stifled?
Well, first of all, I think we increase productivity at the bottom, not through compulsory standards. I think we do it through efficiency and the business case for why efficiency makes those producers more viable economically. We've seen that certification is one step towards that, but we can use stepwise approaches of the adoption of better practices, the reduction of key performance, negative performance indicators, et cetera. I think all of that happens in a way that makes those producers much more viable within the system. So I don't think this is a regulatory thing per se. At some point, governments are going to step in, and because they see there's more money to be made, there's more income, there's more employment, there's more taxes by pushing the bottom. But that's not how I think this starts. But I'd just like to chime in on the previous question. I think it's each of the companies, the retailers and brands that we're working with are trying to find ways to reduce waste. The question is, could we create a platform where they would share that information with each other so that we could do it much faster? And could we actually set a performance-based target, a 25% reduction of waste by 2020, a 50% reduction of waste by 2025, so that we can learn quicker, not make the same mistakes each time on each learning curve, but actually benefit from each other? Because this is a pre-competitive issue, reducing waste. It's a reputational issue, but it's also a planetary issue. We need to get this right. Okay. We can't afford to go one by one by one.
JC, I see you nodding to that. Will you pick up a microphone and tell me what you think about that?
Absolutely. If you recall the slide that I put out there, we have 5 pillars. One of them is planet. And we're very conscious of the fact that this is the one that has the most transparency with our consumers. Well, we think that food is what we need to concentrate mostly. The planet has a lot of implications with the consumer. Energy reduction is one of our priorities, and waste diversion. And we have an array of accomplishments from countries like the Netherlands, where we have zero waste to landfill since 1992, all the way to the countries where they don't have the infrastructure. So indeed, we have goals, and soon we will be able to share those with you publicly. I'm sure that with a word that thanks that you have been doing with us, you have been privy to some of that information, so indeed.
Thank you. And Mark, I have a question for you finally before we break for coffee. I was struck listening to you when you spoke about the volatility, when you spoke about the fact that we need 50% more food by 2050. You referred to the 4-degree word. In the week when we're getting yet another climate change report, and we have very serious scientists warning us about the possibility that indeed we'll go beyond that tipping point projection. Do you think it's at all possible, given what's likely to happen to the climate, that 50% target?
Yes, I do. And I've been accused of being pathologically optimistic. And part of the answer, we have to do a better job. We have to do it. I mean, there is no alternative. But history tells me that when we work together, we can do tremendous things. The pictures from my old family's farm up in County Louth. We can turn our communities around, we can turn our families around, we can turn this planet around, and I actually have tremendous faith that we will rise to the occasion.
Well, that's a great note on which to finish this early part of this morning's session. Would you please give all of our panel a big round of applause?